Welcome to Keto Meals and Recipes.com. In today's video, I will show you how to make a sugar-free raspberry sauce and also my seedless raspberry jam. Between these two versions, there's only one step difference between the sauce and the jam, and I want to show you both because they're very useful for different purposes. For example, I use the raspberry sauce which I pour over my vanilla ice cream, my homemade pancakes, and I also use it as a sauce over my waffles. And the reason I want to do this recipe specifically this week rather than when raspberries are in season, because I'm going to need the raspberry jam as an ingredient for my next video. And during the Christmas season, when I make extra jam, I include it in my food gift package. So I hope you'll find this raspberry jam video useful. Now, the macronutrient ratio for the raspberry sauce and jam is 0.2 to 1, with 2.7 grams of total carbs, 0.3 grams of dietary fiber, resulting in 2.4 grams of net carbs per tablespoon. Remember that even though this jam uses keto sweetener, because of the fructose in the raspberries, it's really considered more of a condiment that you have to be judicious and use a little at a time. And that's why this particular condiment does not have a keto ratio. So you really have to decide if it fits into your diet or not. Here are the 4 ingredients I will be using to make the sauce. But because I'll be making a jam as well, I'm going to begin by first blooming with the gelatin, which I will only use for the jam. Into a measuring cup that has 1/4 cup or 50 ml of cold water, add 1 pouch of Knox unflavored gelatin, and then stir until the gelatin has dissolved in the water. Let it stand for a minimum of 10 minutes or longer in order to give the gelatin time to bloom. Since I won't be using it for a while, I'm just going to set it aside. I'm going to be using a heavy bottom saucepan to which I'm going to add my frozen raspberries. However, in season, you could use fresh raspberries, the sweetener which I ground to a fine confectioner powder, and my salt which I also ground to a fine powder. Then I'm going to add in the lemon juice and then stir everything to combine. Place the saucepan over medium heat and stir occasionally until the berries are thawed and the mixture begins to simmer, and then maybe turn down to medium-low heat. You don't want to scorch the berries. And I'm also going to add some water, which I simply stir with the rest of the ingredients. The reason for the extra water is because I'm making a seedless sauce and jam. The extra water makes it easier to pass everything through a sieve. You're going to cook these berries just until the mixture begins to simmer and all the frozen berries have thawed thoroughly. You could use your potato masher to give them a quick stir. To remove the raspberry seeds, place the sieve over a medium bowl and pour the hot raspberry mixture into the sieve. Then, either with a potato masher or a spatula, press the raspberries into the sieve until as much of the raspberry puree has been strained and come through the sieve. You're going to need a little bit of muscle power and it may take a little while, but be patient, it's really worth the effort. Having strained as much as I could, pour the strained raspberry sauce back into the saucepan and put the saucepan onto your stovetop and set it back at medium until it comes up to a simmer. And if you need to, reduce the temperature a little bit because you want to maintain a brisk but light simmer. And all you have to do now is continue cooking in order to reduce the liquid and to allow the sauce to thicken to a consistency of about liquid honey. At which point, just remove the saucepan from the heat. And that's all there is to making the sauce. Just let the raspberry sauce rest in the saucepan. You want it to cool a bit before pouring it into small jam jars or mason jars. Leave these jars uncovered on your counter until they come to room temperature before putting on the lid. You'll also notice that the sauce will thicken a little bit more when it's chilled. Okay, now to make the seedless raspberry jam. You cook until the liquid honey stage, and because the syrup is so hot, you don't need to remelt the bloomed gelatin. Or if you prefer, you can remelt the gelatin and then pour this liquid into the saucepan and stir very well to combine. You can pour this jam mixture into small jam jars or mason jars. And like before, do not add the lid until the jam has completely cooled. and this jam will solidify and become thick as your contents cool and the gelatin takes effect. So you see, it's very easy to make homemade condiments like jams and sauces. If it's in season, use fresh fruit, of course, but even good quality frozen fruit makes a wonderful jam. I would like to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I hope you come back when I post my next one, which, as I mentioned before, will be using the jam to make some of the most amazing delicious cookies. And if you have any comments or suggestions, I love hearing from you, so drop me a note in the description box. I hope you will come back when I post my next video. And until next time, have a very happy and healthy day. Cheers!